And welcome back, everybody. Now, before we jump into our next segment, Linda, I see steam coming up over there at the cooking table, which means this room is going to start feeling with some great smells. What's in that pot right now?
Oh, half of them is spicy, half of them is not spicy.
I'm getting more and more hungry every moment, so thank you for that. Now, I'll tell you a little secret, everybody who's watching today. I was originally going to be a guest on the Comfy Couch today, but I got a little phone call this morning that said, Amanda's not able to come in. Can you come in and do the hosting duties and also your segment? So I'm going to play double duty this coming up segment. And so I'm now representing Tacoma Little Theatre. And it is my pleasure to welcome onto the Comfy Couch Marilyn Bennett, the director of A Doll's House Part 2 coming up, and Annie Katica Green, who's portraying Nora in our production of A Doll's House Part 2. Welcome both of you to the Comfy Couch this morning.
Thank you, Chris.
I feel like maybe, let's see here, 2019, 4 years ago, I think we were sitting all together on the Comfy Couch talking about A Doll's House. And now here we are talking about a sequel, which seems a little unusual for a stage play. And this is an interesting script. And Marilyn, how does this play pay homage and continue Ibsen's original work? How are we getting a sequel 100 and odd years later?
130 some years later, right. Well, Doll's House was written originally in 1879, and it was a shocking play at the time because Nora leaves her husband. A young playwright, Lucas Nath, who is really an up-and-comer, had the idea in 2017 to say, what if Nora came back? What would happen? Just kind of out of the blue. So he decided 15 years later, let's see who Nora is when she comes back to this house that she left, this marriage that she left. And this is the play that results from that. And it is volatile and lively and, and unexpected, but it is her return to this house, needing something from her husband.
And I want to poll you. You mentioned the fact that Lucas Nath made this script come to life in 2017 and then it played on Broadway. But he didn't just keep it in the late 1800s.
No.
What did he do to the language of this play?
He modernized it. He brought it up current, and he made the sparks fly. So you will hear some language in this play.
There's your disclosure of language warning for this show.
Yes, there needed to be. There needed to be. But it's beautifully integrated with the original story and the original sort of conflict at the end of the play when Nora leaves. And then there's all manner of growth in the character of Nora, who comes back quite a different person. It's a wonderful mashup of looking at the original play and really, really modernizing and looking at issues that are prevalent today for women. So,
now to find actors for a play, we have to have auditions for a play.
We do.
What was the audition process like for this show, Annie and Marilyn?
Annie, how did you feel about the auditions?
It was a unique audition experience for me, for sure. Stepping back into a space where I had worked with the director, and there were kind of potential company members in a space that was very welcoming, and it was very tender for me, actually, just to kind of conceive of re-entering this space. But really, I want to kind of acknowledge Marilyn and the kind of space she creates for actors. I think there's tenderness for everyone who steps into her artistic orbit. Everyone knows that they're cared for. Everyone knows that they are bringing value to a space, even if they don't land in the story ultimately. But you do a really good job of creating a safe space, a tender space, and a really kind of open and expressive space. So it was a fun audition.
I need to make a shirt that says "I heart actors," because that's what it's about.
Yeah.
I just absolutely love working with actors. So open, so free, so inventive, and Annie is right up there at the top of those.
Well, that's the case
colleagues.
in the audition process. The fact that they're open auditions.
Yeah.
Nobody's pre-cast in a show, and by chance, Annie auditioned again for the show. And we got to see her again come to fruition as Nora in this version of the show as well. Now, it is a very small cast. It's a 4-person cast, which can make rehearsals interesting and fun. Tell me a little bit about the rehearsal process.
I guess we could call it intimate, because often we're working with just 2 of the 4 actors, and then we'll bring in the other 2. There's the opportunity to really know one another well as actors and as people, and I would say lots of fun in between doing some, I think, really good and serious work. And these actors are on their game. I mean, this is a very, very tight quartet, and wonderful, wonderful actors, some of whom have worked together. Annie and Sean have absolutely worked together. So I have found it the most intimate and enriching and also deep dive that you can do with such a small company.
And some of the pictures that went by, we had a trio of wonderful leading ladies in one of those shots, which was Brooklyn Peterson, Dana Galligan, and yourself, Annie, which represent Nora, Anne-Marie, the maid,
long-suffering maid.
and Emmy, the daughter who hasn't seen her mother for 15 years. And the great costumes by DCM Costumes.
They are fabulous.
So good.
These photos you're seeing now are actually from
costumes.
A Doll's House back in 2018, and Sean Neely is reprising his role as Torvald as well. Now, Annie, here we are, 4 years later.
Yeah.
You're revisiting a character who walked out of her house and comes back 15 years later through the front door. What's it like revisiting a character?
That is so unique, right? I mean, I think a couple of realities are true. I'm 4 years older and maybe wiser, and Nora is 15 years older and more courageous. The thing I love about Nora is her courage, and her courage looked and felt and was expressed very differently when she was living in her domestic setting. And my goodness, her courage has evolved so much in the 15 years since that bold departure that came with so much heartache, was very controversial. And now she's back, and she's not perfect. She's flawed, right? And that's kind of part of my love for her too.
Yes.
But she has a lot of courage, and so it's fun to continue learning from her in that way.
That's fun. Now, is there maybe a sneak peek of Nora that you can give us today?
Well, my courage is being here, but no. I mean, I would need some things to do a sneak peek. I would need a footstool and a butt pad and a little bag of candies because Nora, kind of can't help but nibble, and I would,
And you're stomping around shoes.
Yeah, I would need some stomping shoes and some deep pockets, but most importantly, I would need my amazing castmates. I would need Sean and Dana and Brooklyn. We just couldn't do it without them.
So what you're telling us is, if you want to see Annie in action, you have to come see Adults House Part 2 at Tacoma Little Theatre. Now, I want to do another shout out too, because it's so much fun, because theater takes so much to create. And yes, we see the actors on the stage, but we don't always see the backstage people. And there's a fun thing that happened in this show, is that our stage manager from the 2018-19 season production of A Doll's House auditioned for this show, and you'll now see Dana Galligan as Anne-Marie, who stage managed the production 4 years ago. Which is fabulous. And everybody in the show is fantastic. It's such a fun show to sit and watch in rehearsal, and I can't wait until it opens on January 26th and plays through February 11th. Get your tickets at TacomaLittleTheatre.com. Now, also, if you go to TacomaLittleTheatre.com, you're going to see some other great things coming up. We've got our great education programs that are happening right now, with some after-school and homeschool programs, along with some improv classes for adults. And the neat thing is Annie has some experience with our education program as well, in both the community setting and also having served on a board of directors at one point. So there's always great things happening education-wise at our theater. And then we also have coming up, we have our off-the-shelf program, which are staged readings. And these are shows that might not be ones that we put on our main stage for a long extended run, but they're pieces that we think you should know about. And our next one is written by a professor at University of Puget Sound. It's Aislinn Melchior, and it's called Empire of Venus.
Wow.
Annie's jaw just dropped when I said that.
Yeah, when is it?
It is on February 1st, Thursday, February 1st, and tickets for that are $10, and it's got a great cast of some local actors who are going to bring that show to life. So we'd love to see you there. If you're a season ticket or Flex Pass holder, it's absolutely free. Now, also, it'd be a terrible thing if I did not mention what we have coming up the rest of the season. We are partnering once again with the University of Washington Tacoma for our production of Rent the Musical, which opens March 8th and plays through the 31st. And during that show, we'll also announce what's coming up for our 106th season at Tacoma Little Theatre. So get ready for a great season coming up. It's going to be a knockout season. Then we also have coming up a show called Almost Maine, which is another 4-person show,
That's right.
which is a sweet story about love in Maine. under the lights of the Northern Lights, which is great. And then we finish out our season with From the Mississippi Delta, which we're excited to welcome guest director Michelle Blackman down here, who you saw last season in Po' Boy Tango. So there's a lot of great things coming up for you. And I know that there's a lot of great things coming up for us in our final segment, because Linda, once again, is over there making great smells and great sounds as she's preparing our great food. Linda,
Really fragrant.
am I going to be able to wait that long, or am I going to have to jump over there right now?
Oh, the longer wait, the better it gets.
Okay, then I am sold on that one. We'll be right back with Dareth and Linda from the Asia Pacific Cultural Center. Stick around. We can't wait to see you.